think a good client recognizes that an agency has to make a buck. I don't think there's a real big chunk of wisdom in trying to grind down an agency to the point they can't hire great people or keep great people. A month after I joined Nike, I doubled the agency's monthly fee, and I doubled it again 6 months later. My predecessor took pride in the fact that they were sort of underpaid. And as a result, the agency was very slow to deliver. Most of the product managers at Nike disliked them because they just couldn't seem to answer the call. So I think you just have to make sure that they all make a profit. I think that's very fair, and then they'll build a good team. A great agency is willing to speak its mind and is not a yes agency. And I think, unfortunately, we're coming off probably 10 years of fear, and it's probably some loathing in that client-agency relationship, but there are a lot of agencies that are just happy to keep the business and keep it by whatever means, and ultimately that doesn't serve the agency or the client well. So I think the biggest challenge today is an opportunity is for an agency to be honest with the client and to and tell them honestly how they feel, because most clients really don't see the entire spectrum of what's going on in the world. That's a valuable role an agency has to play, and they have to speak their mind. Well, I think the ideal brief, for starters, is one page. I think it's a waste of time to walk into a room full of art directors and writers and account people and whatnot with a deck. And I've frankly never been inspired by a PowerPoint, including anything I've written. So I think to keep it to a page. I mean, at Nike, that was part of the culture. If you met with Phil Knight, you took no paper with you. There was no presentation. You spoke to him about what you felt passionately about. So at the agency, I had the product marketing teams at Nike recognize it's one page. Now, if you've got a 300-page tome of sales numbers and projections in your business plan, fine, leave that on the table. That's not the brief. The brief is really more of a dialogue. It's an exchange of ideas. It's a two-way conversation. I think an environment for great ideas happens when there is a willingness to take risks, and that it's sort of expected. At Nike, if you didn't make a big mistake somewhere along the way, you ended up working at Reebok. And I'm not joking when I say that, because you were expected to swing for the fence. To do what we did last year but incrementally better was unacceptable. So everyone, from distribution, design, to PR, to marketing, were trying new things, and inevitably you made mistakes. But you came up with great ideas. But the only guideline on the mistakes was you just didn't make the same one twice. So if you're going to make a mistake, make a spectacular one, stand up and own it, learn from it and move on. But that is really the secret sauce, if you will, at Nike, is that ability to think beyond the expected, and great ideas happen that way. Any brand, successful or not, going forward is going to have to become a more transparent one, particularly if it's publicly traded. There's no place to hide anymore. I think you can't say one thing and do something else. It takes one disgruntled employee, one email, one interested journalist, and you've got a major problem. We live in a time when we're very quick to build things up, build people up, build icons up, build up brands, and we're equally fast to tear them down. We don't suffer dishonesty very well. So I think and the notion of a triple bottom line, it has some real value. And that is to say, financial performance is one leg of the stool. How you got there in terms of impact on people, your people, or people in other parts of the world that create your product, is part of that. The third dimension is the environmental impact. So the triple bottom line, I really recommend every company look at that and recognize that it's going to be pretty much transparent going forward. And look at companies like Nike and Starbucks that have taken so many lightning rods. They are probably two of the most transparent companies on earth. And I think there's a lot to learn from how they're dealing with code of conduct and how they communicate with their own employees and their key stakeholders.